All right, here we are on the scooter. I have removed the fuel sensor here. And if you can see down in here, we're going to suck out this light. There we go. Suck out the fuel that looks kind of gross in here. See that? It's kind of brownish, amber colored. We're going to suck that out of here using this pump, cheapo pump from Harbor Freight. Get rid of that old fuel so we can put fresh fuel in. Then we will put the new, well, I should say, put the carburetor back in. I did get it apart. Everything's pretty clean here. I'm going to clean it up a little bit. Pull out these jets. Make sure they are all free and flowing. And, ew, there's dirt falling on it. That's a wing. Okay, so anyway, get this cleaned up. Put it all back together. Carb should be good to go. And, who knows? This thing should run. I need to work on getting the throttle cable installed. The new one did come in, so I got to pull off all the panels that might need to come off to get that cable rerouted, and we should be good to go. So sucking the fuel out of here. So here we go, rerouting the throttle cable. I have a new one here. I need to pull out the old one and make sure it is the same, but obviously took the front valance off. There should be the headlight here and all that good stuff. Okay, well anyway, yeah, the throttle was broken up there, so we have the cable running here. It was held together in this conglomerate here, so I'll have to just route the new one up through there. And then it basically just drops down through here and runs in underneath here and down the side, which I can't really show you too well. So here we go. It's down in there. So you can see it's basically just loosely laying in there. And then it runs up right here to this, sitting in here. So that kind of holds it in place. And then it comes over here to the carburetor, which is missing because I'm cleaning it and looking it over. But all we got to do, pull this out, route the new one through, and we should be good. I think I'll drop it from the top. Maybe I'll tie it somehow to the other one and see if I can push the new one down while I take out the old one. So I'll see how I do. Okay, I pulled the old one out. New one matches up pretty well.
Oh yeah!
So that should work for me. Time to fish it through. See, I'm gonna have to drop it down because now I have no guide. But it was also being held in by this zip tie here. So I'll have to fish it through that zip tie and run it down through the bodywork. So hopefully I have points that I can grab it from and push it through. All right, guys, got the cable routed. It's in through these with this band of wires. We're back up in here. We're gonna line it up right about where it's supposed to be. So there it is. The old one's sitting here now. There's a screw here, and there should be a screw here, but it's missing. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. But got one screw here, and I'm gonna pull it out and hopefully find one that matches that I can put in the bottom, because there should be two screws. See that open hole? That should be a screw, I believe, and that's why this thing's loose. Should probably be two screws in there, so I'll figure that out, but I'm gonna pull this off and hook her up. All right, so here we are. Pulled out the one screw on top and we're missing the bottom one, but this is how the cord or the cable goes in. You have that screw to loosen up, that'll tighten down. You make sure you push it up through the hole so your cable goes through there, and then you're gonna hook it into the throttle cable. Show you that, throttle tube. So the end just slides in there. I'm gonna have to fish out the old one, but you're gonna pull the cable through here, stick it in there, so it is gonna move with the tube when you turn it. Does that work? Does that make sense, guys? So when this casing is on here, like it should be, up like this is gonna slide into your throttle tube. And you only have one, so it's a push-pull. You don't have to worry about two cables going in there. So I'm gonna put that on, and then this just bolts on the front right over there so that it's all in the right spot. And that'll sit like that again. Okay. All right, and there you go. Cables run through the housing. Then it goes into our throttle tube. Just wraps it around like that, like that. This sets up on the back, just like on the front, and everything's free. And this works a lot better. Basically, put this in, put this on the bar end, and then you can slide it in, and then everything fits in there pretty nice. And then here's your cable adjuster. I do not have it hooked up back here at the carb, so that makes it much easier to get it to fit on here. Now I'm just gonna put it in the place where it belongs, and we should be good to go. I did find another screw that looks like it goes with this, so shouldn't have a problem there. But this will go right up against this housing, just about. Yeah, you can see over here it's sitting right up against the housing. So that should be about where we're at. So I'll put the screws in and it should be good to go on this end. All right, guys, so let me show you a couple things before I start reassembling this guy. This side cover can come off pretty easily once you take off this bolt, and it clips in here, so be careful there. I thought I was going to break it there, but most of these points, it slides in from the back. So let me show you what we got here. Here's the side cover. You can see all these clips kind of slide in, so when you put it back on, you're going to slide it forward. And same with all of these. Now on the end here, it's kind of strange. Like, you're going to slide this back, but these two little pieces need to go in. So obviously when I put this back in, I'm going to stick it in there first, and then it should clip into those. But everything has to, I don't know how it works. I was able to get it off without breaking anything. Hallelujah. But can't say you'll have the same luck. So anyway, Chinese scooter, it's a clip show. And my carb was pretty clean, but let me show you what we did here. I pulled out the jets, ran guitar string through each little hole so everything's open. The pilot jet here, the hole down the center is so small I can't get my guitar string through, so maybe I should find a smaller guitar string. But here's what we got. Everything's cleaned out, so here's your main jet right there. Here's your main jet holder. So that's what we do there. That screws into the bottom here. And then your pilot jet there. And I threw carb cleaner on the actual carburetor. So all those guys are gonna screw right back in here. And everything's pretty clean. I'm gonna spray some air in here just to make sure none of the dirt. I cleaned up this with a razor blade. It's kind of dirty around the outside where the gasket sits. And a little bit dirty in this screw here. This only has 580 miles, so, you know, if gas sat in here, it was gonna be pretty nasty. I don't think there was a lot of gas left in here. Let me grab the bowl here. Wasn't much sitting in the bowl. I did clean that out and kind of went in around here and made sure this was clean. So hopefully nothing's gonna be bad here. I don't know what all this is. I think this is part of the choke, and hopefully I hook it all back up. When I was taking it apart, I did tell you guys I couldn't drain the carburetor. Well, the scooter company came up with something really smart here. And this is normally where your drain is, which is what it is. But normally there's a shut off here, and that would stop gas flow. Well, they don't have that. What they ended up doing was sticking a line on here, and that runs. You can see it here. I think this is it. So it runs down here, and then down below here, you actually can open it up here. There's a screw here, and then drain your fuel out of the float bowl that way. So all in all, I probably did not have to remove this carburetor, but it's good to get a look at it and make sure it was clean. But I could have just drained it down here instead of complaining and removing it and everything. So, and I ended up taking the whole thing apart anyway, so that wasn't a problem. So I'm gonna start reassembling this. Since the throttle cable is installed, put all this back together, and hopefully we put fresh gas in it. Probably throw the battery back on the charger again. It's in the shop before we go about reinstalling that. So should be a good runner. After I put everything back together, I can start it without putting everything back together. It should run just like this. All right. Oh, while we're at it, that gas smells so bad and was not gonna run this bike. So yeah, there you go. Well, again, before I put this back together, just wanted to show you one more thing I did. I ran my guitar string through all these ports because I'm not sure. Gas has to flow through these somehow. And because I'm not sure of what they all do, let's just make sure they're open. But the last thing I did was remove this screw right here and lift out the floats, because your gas is going to come through here. And what happens, this is upside down, but your float is going to raise. Now this is in the up position here. So I'll just show you. So when your gas is in the bottom, it's going to fill up this float bowl. And as this goes up, there's a plunger in there that rides with the floats, and the plunger closes. So when that reaches the level of that closing, it shuts off your fuel flow. And then you have plenty of fuel until that drops back down, and it does the process over again. So you see how that does that? So that's what causes your fuel to stop flowing. Now, if that's at the wrong level, you might get more fuel in there than you need, and that's wrong. But there's also a gasket on there, and if that gasket is leaking, it won't shut off the fuel flow, and you could overflow your carbs, which in turn overflows the engine and floods it out. So just letting you know that that's something you also want to clean out in there. I took it out, ran a guitar string through there. It's all clean, and this should be good to go now. But if you ever have a flooding issue on your bike and it's not running right, make sure you check that gasket in there on the plunger, because that needs to shut the fuel off when it closes. Guys, you don't have to bark. So anyway, I'm going to put my Pilot Jets and my main jet back in, and the jet holder, and put this back together and get her loaded back up. Well guys, I got the carb back installed. I should run gas to it without putting it in the gas tank, just to see if it'll fire. But I would need to disconnect, I guess, maybe right here, try to run it. I just reinstalled this. Well, I don't know. Maybe I should do that. But while this is open, I decided to pull out the spark plug, which goes in right there. Can't really see it too well. And there's your spark plug. She looks good, she's just very dirty. So I'm gonna clean her up a little bit, shove her back in. Maybe I should check for spark, but yeah, that'll help fire if it's clean plug. There you go. Luckily, plug cleaned up beautifully. The gap was actually very good, 0.024 to 0.028. I was able to find it in the owner's manual, so that's pretty nice. So this can go back in, and I believe we're good.